Well, hello everyone, and welcome to another video from the Canal Sidings Model Railway channel. Today I'm doing something a little different. I have a completely different video setup. I am using a new camera which is now in front of me, as you can see, looking down at what I'm looking at from the opposite direction. And the reason I've changed my camera is not for any quality reasons. I was reasonably happy with the quality I got off my mini JVC. The problem is that it said it had Wi-Fi, but I never managed to get the Wi-Fi function to connect so that I could use it for what I bought it for, which was remote control. And so what I've done is I've bought a new Panasonic camera, about the same image quality, perhaps slightly better than the JVC. I wasn't looking to spend a vast amount of money. I bought a V380, which is a pretty basic camera these days, but I have managed to get the Wi-Fi to connect. I've struggled to keep it connected permanently to a 10-inch tablet, which is what I really wanted to use, so I could see the picture well. But I've actually got it connected to my smartphone, which I hope you can see there in the picture, and that might appear flapping around over here occasionally while I'm doing the video. I'll try to keep it out and keep it professional, but I'm just not sure how well I can do at that. But it allows me to switch the record on and off, and to, the most important thing, to zoom in and out, which is something I've not been able to do easily in the past, because I've had to be able to reach the camera, and often when I reach the camera I can't see the picture. So it became a catch-22. I can actually see what the camera sees in my smartphone, and I can zoom in and out nicely. So without further ado, let's get on to the subject of this video. In the last video I mentioned that my wife wasn't very well. Suffice it to say that we are optimistic that she is now doing a lot better. She has an operation to remove her gallbladder booked for the 26th of September, and we're hoping she can get to that without any other traumas or dramas. So fingers crossed for that. But in the last video I also mentioned that I had a few things going on my workbench, and one of them was a Lima HST that I'm playing with, and there was a little bit of interest in that in the comments, so I decided to do this video talking just about that, about what I'm trying to do with it. I haven't done a vast amount with it yet, simply because, again, I haven't spent a lot of time in my workshop, at my workbench. But we'll talk about what I'm hoping to do, and you'll be able to see where I'm coming from. Got lots of bits and pieces laying around here which I want to sort of point out to you at some time. Oops, and I'll probably do that occasionally as well, bump the table. It's a new table that I've got so that it will always be clear for doing videos. It's not my workbench. Anyway, what I've been working on, as we have mentioned before, is Lima HSTs, and there is one which, that is the dummy power car from a Lima HST starter set, which I picked up for 80 quid. And you get that, and you get a power car, and you get two coaches. This is one of the coaches that you get. Probably won't fit in the shot. I'll just zoom out a little bit so you can see the whole coach. There you go. And I got two coaches and a dummy power car and a powered power car. That coach is the first. Beg your pardon, I couldn't see the line on it. Yeah, that coach is the first, and it's coach H. and the other coach that was in the set was a TGS, which is the trailer guard second. And I have since picked up, as you saw, another 4 TSOs and a TRFB. So I have a 7 car set. I am missing car E, but I can't get any more in my fiddle yard. At least I don't think I can. So I'm going for a 7 car set and 2 power cars. A 7 plus 2 as it's often known, so I'm told. We won't be bothering too much with coaches. I will mention a couple of things about them, but mostly we're going to concentrate in this video on power cars. As I say, that's the dummy power car, which I did say I intended to motorise, and this is a motorised, the chassis from the motorised power car, which is refurbished. I have actually made the motor run a lot better, and I did mention last time that I couldn't get this thing to run well on the track, and I persevered with it. I found that adding extra weight over here helped, but it didn't help so much. It wasn't as good as it should have been. And this has got pickup on it, and there's a bit more weight on this one anyway. But the pickup, the ability to pick power up was awful. What I eventually did was I cleaned the wheels again on the dummy bogie. And that was a transformation. I actually cleaned them with a very fine emery stick, sanding stick. And I got rid of a lot of tarnish around the wheels, and that made them pick up much better for one circuit of my room. And then it all failed again. The track was cleaned, by the way, as well. And so I cleaned the wheels again, and I got about one circuit before it started to hesitate. I thought, what is going on? So what I did was, because I bought some spare bits and pieces, I bought a spare loco, which is this one, and I bought another spare, which is that one, and they had chassis with them. The chassis are around, and I bought those to get spare bogies, to get spare power bogies and spare chassis. Unfortunately, both of the chassis were broken, but anyway, we're going to come back to that in a minute. What I did get was a spare a spare dummy bogie, which I replaced onto here, having cleaned its wheels again, and it was an amazing transformation. Now, I don't know what exactly is wrong with this bogie at all. I can't figure out what's actually wrong with this bogie, but these wheels, it only picks up from one side, and that's this side. What happens is, after one circuit of my track, these wheels get all black where they touch the track mostly, and I just cannot stop that from happening. I have tried all sorts of things to improve upon that, and just can't stop that from those wheels from getting dirty. So I've put that down to experience. I don't know why it's happening, but it is happening, and I need to do something about it at some time. So I have one HST power car with motor. Now, what I intend to do is to add pickups on the other side of the wheels of this bogie, and I intend to add pickups onto the wheels on this bogie without the weight falls out when you tip it upside down. They do have, on this side, they do have traction tyres, and there's not much I can do about those because those wheels with the traction tyres, I think you can see, I can zoom you in a little. What you can see is that, I've got a pointer in my hand, there we go, that'll do. What you can see is that we have, oops, I'm moving about now, we have traction tyres on this side and none on this side. This side picks up on this bogie and the other side picks up on the other bogie. Now, I can't easily replace those wheels with plain ones because behind them here, as you can see, is a gear. And none of the other wheels have a gear behind. Sometimes they do. Hornby often do. And you'll see that when we talk about my Class 86s in another video. But I'm stuck with the traction tyres, but I'm still going to put some pickups on here because the flanges will often be in contact with the track and might just give me that extra little bit to give me pickups on this side and this side on both bogies. With a little bit of extra weight and with another power bogie pushing along as well, then we might find that things work out quite nicely. That's yet to be seen. So, there is the first Lima chassis. Now, the Lima dummy car has ordinary wheels on all its ordinary wheels on both its bogies. They're just pick up and no motor, of course. But because it doesn't have a motor, it doesn't have the same kind of chassis. This is one of the spare chassis that I bought. Because that car doesn't have a motor, it doesn't have a chassis like this one. Actually, that's not a very good example. Let's use this one. I've cut a hole in that chassis, that's not so good. Use this one as the example. What we have here is we have this end is where the unpowered bogie sits, and this end in this big hole is where the powered bogie sits, and here is a power bogie, such you can see that it goes into that hole, and this one hasn't got the side panels on it, but it goes in there and it swivels by these little things running in here and here. And you can see that, I hope you can see, let's again try a little bit of zoom. Yeah, you can see I'm spending time getting used to this. Okay, what you can see here is that there and there are a couple of ledges, and that is what these, let me try and put that down so you can see it all, that's what these pieces run on. And when you fit the base unit, which I haven't got a spare of, that's the bit that goes round that has the coupling on it, when you fit that, then they sit either side of those ledges, and that's what holds the bogie in and stops it from moving. Unfortunately, both of what I thought were the spares that I bought suffer from the same problem, that the ledges are broken. That one, as you can see, is broken there, and another the other spare one out of the other loco is broken there. So they weren't a lot of use, those two chassis that I managed to pick up, but I did then find another one for under a tenner, which I bought. However, those other bodies and chassis that I bought, and here is one of them, again we'll zoom out a little, They weren't a complete waste of money, because what I've managed to do with this one is modify its glazing unit. And if I just open it up, and I'll demonstrate how I do that, because it is very easy to break these glazing units exactly in the only place that it matters, and that is around those windows, around these windows here. There are surrounds moulded into the glazing unit, and they will easily break off as you pull the glazing unit out. It just clips in, and they are what really hold it in. So what I do to get the glazing unit out is slip in a credit card. This is not actually a credit card, it's an old love film from Amazon introduction card. I've got loads of them, they kept on sending them to me when I belonged to it. Stick those in there like that, so that they're up as hard against these windows, and now lift this end out, and you will find that the glazing comes out very easily. So, what does the glazing do for me? Well, I want to be able to see inside these units so that I can see if my ideas will work, if everything will fit. So if I take this chassis and drop the glazing unit on it where it actually sits in reality, that wire's going to be in my way, but it's the glazing unit. Sorry, I'll just tuck that wire in there and tuck that wire down there for a second. Right, the glazing unit in reality sits there, flush with that end, and hard down, wire in the way, and hard down onto the black of plastic of that. That's where it sits, and you can tell that purely by looking at how it's in there and where everything goes. But what it actually does for me is it shows me how much room I now have inside this locomotive, because I can see that I actually don't have any room to speak of around this. There's a pillar comes up there, by the way, and a pillar comes up there, which are what hold the body onto the chassis. They go down towards two holes at the bottom, and you put screws in. So those two spaces are unusable when you get the body on. This little assembly here holds the weight down, and there used to be one here that had another one of these big lumps with a thing that hits the roof, and a tiny lump that just sat on there. I've cut that off for a reason, and what I am doing is I've put the little piece that came off the end. I can't show you one because I haven't got a spare. There is one in here, but it's hard to see, I think. In there we have, here we have, if I turn it the same way round as this one, it'll help. Here we have the one that corresponds to that one, and then here we have the one that would have been there, and there is the one that I've cut off and glued to the underside of that. The reason for that is because with just that one the weight rattled, but with that one on top as well, the weight doesn't rattle. It's just that the weight is not held in any other way. So what I can see now is where I've got room to do things in this body, and as we can see, I've got room over the top of this bogie, lots of room over the top of that bogie. This wall here actually sits in the body in that position there, so it almost forms the back of the cab assembly, and as you can see, there it is in there. So I can't put anything in the cab because I want the cab to be empty, because I want a cab light. So I can go as far as that. I can go as far as this, and I can go up to this spigot pillar, and I have a large space in there. And luckily for me, the speaker will fit in there. The cable's getting in the way again, but the speaker will fit perfectly in there without holding this up in the air. There's a big hole above it to let the sound out and allow it to resonate through all this gap in the top here, and let it out round the power bogie or anywhere else that there's a gap. So we should get good sound out of it. And that is one of the speakers from Richard Croft at Roads and Rails. It's one of his mega bass speakers. This one I don't use because it's a 4 ohm one, but I've just bought 2 of his 8 ohm ones to fit into here, to be run on my TTS decoders. And I have ordered a pair, as Hornby have finally got them in stock. I've ordered a pair of TTS sound decoders for the dummy car and the power car, and they are quite a bargain actually. Hornby normally charge, I think it's $42.99 now for a TTS decoder. I can typically buy them for about 35 quid. So 2 would normally cost 70 quid. Well, I bought a pair, Hornby's pair, R8102 I think it is, might have got that number wrong, which is a pair of class 43 TTS decoders, so that you can have one in each car on the train. And Hornby's price for those is a bargain at $69.99. It would be 84, 86 quid if they just doubled the price. So you can see it's already a bargain. But I've just ordered a pair for 53 quid. So, plus postage of £2 or something. So that's pretty good. I'm fairly happy that that is a bargain price. And I will still do my same thing of putting in a TTS decoder. And there is one. Beg your pardon, I'm trying to put it down. There we go. There's the TTS decoder that's got to go in. And there is a Lays DCC decoder that's got to go in. And also there is a tiny circuit board to go in, which I might actually make bigger by adding a bit of strip board to it as well for soldering wires onto. But there's a tiny circuit board which is for the Express Models lighting kit that goes in. And this will be the same in both cars when I sort the power car out. When I sort the dummy car out, I mean, to be a power car. Now that I have a chassis for it, and I have a motor bogie, and I've got plenty of spare unpowered bogies, and I've got spare weights, etc., I should be able to very easily build exactly the same thing at the other end of the train. Now, where am I going to put the decoders? Well, now that we can see all of this, you can see very easily that there's another space down here, and that goes right to the bottom of this box here. So what I intend to do is build a little plasticard pocket. Beg your pardon. That is my phone telling me it's fully charged. Sorry about that noise. Okay, so I intend to put these like this. I can't hold them, hang on. Let me get a good grip on them. I intend to put those in. Let me move that out of the way for a minute. Stacked up like that. If I could get them to stay stacked like that with another board on there as well. Now I don't want them sitting hard against one another because I don't want to have to insulate that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to build a little plasticard thing with 3 pockets in it, which will sit down in that space there. You can see, if I take the top off, that it goes very deep. It goes right down there. The pillar here is in my way, but it goes very deep, and that's what I intend to do down there, to get all the electronics in. The weight obviously has to stay here. I've deliberately steered clear of the fact that there might be a little bit of space down this end, because what I might decide to do is just add a little bit of weight up this end, probably by sticking it to the sides of this, so that I get a bit more weight over the power bogie. But whether I do that or not, I'm not sure. I haven't made up my mind one way or the other yet. So that's really as far as I've got with my Lima HSTs. I also intend through the train to change the couplings so that they are not these enormous Lima things, which look even worse on a coach. We can pick a coach up and move that out of the way and have a look at this coach. Oh, that's in the way. Right, come down there. We'll zoom in a little. And these awful Lima couplings, they work superbly well. You can't knock them for how well they work. Unfortunately, they look pretty awful. So what I'm thinking of doing is something similar to what the guy did with these. As I said, this is one of the coaches that was in the kit. What he had done is he'd fitted a KD, which you can see flapping around there. There's a KD coupling on there. He'd fitted that. Unfortunately, he'd fitted it to the body. Now, I know that if you read the KD information or you look at anybody who uses KDs, they will always tell you fit the KD coupling to the body and not the bogie. Now, that's absolutely fine if you're modelling American practice, or Australian or Canadian. They're all pretty similar. They are a very scale coupling for those countries, and they are fitted to the body, not the truck as they call it, the bogie. But that's fine, because with an American-Canadian system, excuse me, what you find is that this distance here between bogie and end of vehicle is almost zero. And the bogies are very short, trucks as they call them. They're very short wheelbased, so they're pivoted about here. The result of that is that whether you fit to the end of here or to the end of here doesn't make a lot of difference, because there's very little shift in the coupling or in the way two vehicles cross a reverse curve. However, if you take two coaches, and I'll use the Lima ends now, just happen to have another coach here. You take two coaches and couple them together. So I've got a bit of stuff in the way. Let me just clear the decks a little, so that, because these coaches are very long. Okay, you take two coaches like that and you put them on a reverse curve. They will tend to do that as they go around it, or that if they're in the other direction. You put KDs on these ends here fixed to the body, they can't move. They can't take up the slack. Whereas an American vehicle that movement, because of where the bogies are pivoted, is almost nothing. Much less. I don't know about American coaches, and I don't know what American modelers put on coaches. Probably the same thing. Bogies right up near the end. I don't know. Most American modelers model freight and not passenger, so you don't see a lot of it. So I can't just put KDs like they have been put on the ends of my coaches. You'll notice I'm still struggling with the fact that I'm looking backwards at what I'm showing you here, and so I'm struggling sometimes to get it in the centre, even though I know approximately where it is on my grid. I don't know exactly where it is every time. Anyway, I'm hoping to improve these things as I use this setup more often. But anyway, I hope to do something whereby I can probably use, if you look, our man who did these actually cut off the couplings from the bogies and fixed the KDs onto the end. So this bogie is no use to me because it doesn't have a coupling on it. That's why I have this coach, which is the Lima version in Midland Mainline livery. But now you see that there's a big shelf. I can't leave it on because it catches up on all this stuff as well, all this detail that's been added. But what I can do is probably cut that coupling off there and there. So I get rid of this piece, pull the hook out and use this platform to mount something such that when the bogies move, the couplings move as well, but I can keep the coaches relatively closely coupled. That's my intention. Whoops, sorry about that. That is my intention. But that's for another time. I'll just put that bogie back on now because it fits better. And that's why I bought this coach, by the way, because it gave me a set of bogies. That's what you have to do. And this is another thing one more thing I wanted to say, that when you're working with Lima stuff, really the best way of buying spare parts is to buy other items. This is a TSO, which is useful to me in another way as well, because the glazing unit will fit in a TSO. That's not the other coach I had there was not a TSO, but the glazing unit will fit any liveried TSO. And one of the TSOs that I've got has got white mark on one of the windows which may not come off. These windows are fine. So I may decide to swap the windows out of this coach as well. So that coach for 12 quid will have given me 2 bogies and a set of windows. You know, I can't complain at that really. But that really is the way you have to buy Lima spares. You can get odds and ends. You can buy one of those, and perhaps that would have been a better thing for me to do, to actually buy one of those when I wanted another power bogie. But I wouldn't have got a chassis. As it turned out, I didn't get one and had to buy a chassis, which I did find a chassis spare for an HST. But what you don't find are these. Which are weights. I've never seen anybody selling an HST weight. That's not to say they don't, I've just never seen one. And I need that weight because the weight that is in this power car, sorry, in this dummy power car, is not the same. The weight in the dummy power car is a long thin one. Why they changed it I don't know. Perhaps to get the weight to stretch further towards the bogies. I really don't know, but it's not the same. The chassis are totally and utterly different. So That's why I had to buy a chassis. Anyway, I'm going to wrap this video up now because it's probably gone on for quite a while. I have no idea how long I've been doing it. But I'm going to wrap it up and post it up later today and say thank you for watching. Please like, share and subscribe. And I'll see you all again as soon as I possibly can. The next video might be more on HSTs, it might be a little bit more on Class 86s, or it might be on something else that I'm working on at the moment. I don't know. I'll let you know when I decide to do it. So bye for now, everybody.